Welcome to Entry Points Radio. Every week we share human-curated playlists to break the algorithm. We're going to take a deep dive into new tracks, new humans, and new sounds to fall in love with from around the world. I'm Kate Bass.
And I'm Richie Steighner. We founded Global Music Collective to discover and create new music across boundaries. We've spent the past decade meeting fascinating people in over 50 countries.
These are the real songs and real stories that we share with real people along the way. This is Entry Points Radio.
We're back. I'll start by saying thank you for listening to week one, and not just listening to our side of the podcast, but listening to the playlist as well. We've had a lot of people that will listen to the podcast on the way to work, and then when they get to work, they play the music from the playlist in the background, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that from the podcast. So it seems like a really cool way to kind of listen to what we've got. So thank you for tuning in.
You know, it's cool that you say that. I actually was just having a voice memo conversation.
You are a big voice memo.
I love a voice memo. I love to ramble. But anyway, I was just talking with a friend this morning I was talking at a friend this morning over voice memo. She thought it might be possible that we could put little clips of the music up on the podcast while we were doing it. And I told her, frankly, Richie and I are trying to run a company, put on programs, distribute music. We still have how many albums that we still need to distribute. And I'm going to a conference next week on nonprofit governance for the institutional side of the work that we're doing. And it's like, okay, there's only so much space in my brain. And when it comes to figuring out the legal rights of playing music on podcasts on every different platform, I just can't. I can't. So anyway, I was telling her as I was thinking about it, I really do like the idea that there is a little bit of annoyance. There's an extra click through that people have to do to get from the podcast to the playlist. And I know that might mean that some people feel a barrier of entry. You know, oh, it's not as easy. I don't get to just hear the music. I have to actually go to the show notes and click through into the playlist. But I was thinking about it. I feel like a lot of what we are circling around here is this idea of intentional listening. Like last week we were talking about rifling through the CDs at Barnes & Noble and about that experience of just picking up the album cover and holding the thing. And I think that these days you hear these automated playlists. Sometimes you hear a song you like, but it just kind of goes. And then there's another song or there's an ad. And maybe we take the trouble, if we're as nerdy as you and I are, maybe we take the trouble to actually, find the song and save it to our playlist like you were talking about last week. But I don't know, I kind of like challenging people to have to go and actually find the playlist and listen to the playlist themselves. Maybe everything in life shouldn't be so constantly easy. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. Like Amazon delivery, everything's immediate. Right. You can get whatever you want right now.
Speaking of Amazon delivery, last night it was midnight. Okay, I'm not quite tired. Maybe I'll read a chapter in this book I'm really enjoying. And then I was like, oh, I don't have the mental bandwidth. And then I started going down this rabbit hole of, I wonder what a good oil-free moisturizer might be. And I'm on Amazon, and then Googling to see. And it was like, I spent 25 minutes just completely wasting time on Amazon about an oil-free moisturizer before I decided I'm just going to go to a store and ask the recommendation of the person there. And it's like, where am I going with this?
I don't know, but oil-full moisturizer sounds just awful.
You were talking about Amazon. What were you saying about Amazon?
Well, I mean, everything is immediate now, and you can check out immediately. You can get to where you want to be immediately. Even if your Wi-Fi speed isn't a bazillion giga something a second, then it's frustrating. I feel it too. I think the average time to click away from a website is 3 seconds. If your page doesn't load, they're gone. So it is part of human nature to want things now. But I do see the value in conversation behind the songs and telling stories and making it relatable. And that's kind of, in some ways, the point of music anyways, right? Is if you look back to some of the influential styles and techniques and parts of music, whether it's call and response, whether it's rhythmic changes, those have really deep roots in communication. And so music is a tool in that way. And the real point of it is human connection, whether it's talking or singing or playing along or whatever. I think there's a value in it. So listen to this first, get the context, and then go get your songs. Yeah. I think it will enrich your life.
Enrichy.
Oh, that's my name.
It's gonna enrich your life. Okay, that doesn't need to go in.
We can cut all of this starting now.
Oh my
off to a
God.
roll.
Richie,
Anyway,
tell me real quick, how was your week?
my week was exciting. We bought a car.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Would you like to
Oh.
tell the internet public the name of your car?
We called it Max.
Yes.
Yep, it's a black hybrid. The car buying process is generally pretty awful, but we walked into a smaller dealership and they were really relaxed and had a car we wanted, and we thought, well, let's make this work, and we did.
Did you like negotiate and do the whole like back and forth thing? I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
shaking.
I haven't bought a
Grab
car
the
in a
guy
while.
by the collar and shake him until he. That's a different technique. No, I think as a negotiator, especially with a car, I don't know what the value really should be. Not
Yeah.
to, because you go online and you say, oh, Kelly Blue Book or JD Power or Car Gurus, whatever bazillion sites they have now. And it says like, oh, this is a good deal for a car. But
Right.
in my mind, I'm like, well, it's still expensive and
Right.
it's 4 wheels. And if you take it apart and sell it for parts, it's worth more or less. I don't know. The whole thing just feels very subjective. And somebody just says, this is the price. And you can say like, can we do it for 10% less? I don't know. The whole process is just obtuse.
Right. One value, I think value for all those things is obtuse. We don't need to go down here, but like, what is money? What is value? We're always talking about this. Like, what is the value of the work that we do? Artists do so much of our work for free. There's no Kelly Blue Book on what goes into the making of a song or
Right.
Kelly's Blue Book or whatever it is. Like, there's no way to dictate what the value is of one thing and why one person, goes viral and their song reaches billions of people. And I mean, sometimes that really happens because the song is amazing and it's this incredible story. And then sometimes there's all these unknown people and things you don't hear about. And anyway, I didn't mean to just be like, this is a music podcast. Let's take your fun car story and make it about music. But
no, aren't you reading an economics book right now?
I'm reading like 3 economics books right now, which is
okay,
probably
so
why I was looking up oil-free moisturizers last night.
You're stressed out from.
No, the economics books are interesting. Yeah. America is such a car country. And it's interesting. Sometimes I really resent that as an American. And sometimes I love that. Like the great US road trip. Like here I am talking about how next week I'm going to this nonprofit governance conference and I will be driving there. And it's funny. I'm really looking forward. I'm taking my, ancient car. His name is Marvin. He's red. I love him. VW Golf 2014. The CD player is broken, and there's a CD that's Queen's greatest hits. And it's so funny. It's been stuck in that player for years. Richie's had to hear it. And every time I turn on my car, the only CD I can listen to is this Queen CD. So I know like every instrumental and every vocal of Queen. Anyway, why am I talking about this?
Do you think that has influenced your music style? I feel like if you're forced to listen to 14 songs in order over and over again, that will change the way you think about music?
Maybe, but I will say I loved Queen before. My mom got me into Queen. She had a Queen record. So my parents used to listen to records in the living room, and we would all actually sit around and listen to the records. It's kind of wild to think about. And one of them was the Night at the Opera album by Queen, and that was what got me into them.
I am curious, though. I mean, albums used to be the way to put up music, and before that, I think it was EPs or smaller releases until we got to CDs and tapes and things that could hold more songs. And now I feel like we vacillate in the music industry between releasing either
Singles.
1, 2, 3, 4 singles,
Yeah.
or a whole album, or releasing a single from an album.
Yeah.
And I think we're just in this weird state of we don't know how to package music anymore. And I think that's why Spotify and Apple Music have been so successful, is because they've just put a box around it and kind of shoved it in your face and said, here's music. But it takes away the artist, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, even just listening to an album I thought was so special because the artist probably had to have arguments in the studio.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if you're with the band, you think, oh, this song should go second because it's the big one, and the crummy one should go number 6. You know, you kind of have to fight with your band and the producer and figure it out. But that's how you make something that you care about.
Mm-hmm. There's an art to it.
Yeah, like when's the last time you listened to an album start to finish voluntary, besides being forced to listen to Queen by your Volkswagen?
I have to say, I love that you asked me that because there's one other thing I'll tell you I've been doing lately that's been really fun. I didn't do this performatively. I love finding new music, and I was getting frustrated because it felt like all of the music I was listening to started to sound exactly the same. But it's so hard now with anything recorded to be able to tell just where it came from. It's kind of like buying meat at the grocery store.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I don't actually buy meat myself, but whatever. I went there yesterday because I was grilling out for my nephews, and I'm like walking through the aisles of meat at this US grocery store, and it's just like 5 million different kinds of meat. And it was all just packaged in this cellophane packaging. And you don't really have any context of the actual animal that it came from. I feel like that's the thing that's happening right now. When you're listening to these playlists and it could be AI and it could be human and it could be human plus AI or AI plus human. And how do we know? And it just starts to become this thing where you're like, I want to at least just know what a chicken is before I buy the chicken and eat the chicken. This is probably a really weird comparison. I'm all over the place today. But the thing I was going to tell you is that I got so frustrated with these playlists that I started buying records at thrift stores. Like, I don't know. I just went into some thrift stores and was like, wow, these records are like $2 for some record that someone spent a lot more money and loved for a long time.
Do you have this? You bought an album like a week or two ago, and you put it on after we had like applied for a grant after this long day of writing. And
I'm gonna have to put that in after.
Bottle, I think. Yes! I don't know. I don't want to give it away if it's on there or not.
Hang on.
Are you live updating your playlist?
No,
don't live update.
No.
You can't change it now. No. Well, Kate's gone. Left me. This whole podcast is ruined.
This is the album. So I found this at a thrift store for like, I don't even know, probably $2, maybe less. It's called On Tap, In the Can, or In the Bottle. And it's by the great Hank Thompson, country singer. And
Hank is a great country singer name. I feel like that's just there's not a lot of pop.
There's not a lot of pop Hanks.
Yeah,
not many
hip hop
Hanks. No. Ooh,
there's
is there
Cool
hip hop
Herc.
Hank? Well, so anyway,
you talk,
what Richie's talking about, I'm going to put this on the podcast. But so anyway, I've been going analog. I've been buying these records for cheap just for fun. And the thing is, a record, you can put on one side of a record and it's not that long. It plays for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I should know. There's probably an actual time that records play for. And these like vinyl nerds out there are like, this lady, this broad doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah. But
30s.
But so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs on each side. And it's fun. It's like when I make dinner, I'll just put on one side of this record. Anyway, I was just saying I've been enjoying that kind of analog experience. There used to be an art form of deciding how songs flowed into each other and what the overall story was and narrative behind it. And okay, so what did you find about Hip Hop Hank?
Sorry, I was just playing the song in my head. I tuned out. I was just listening to.
Classic.
All right, check it out. On the can or in the bottle. That's all I know of it.
Hank lives on.
So, Big Bank Hank is the first that came up. He is a pioneer in hip hop. Pioneer. I said like a country singer.
Still in the bottle over there.
In the bottle. And he was a member of the Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh.
Which, if you know hip hop, you know they're like fundamental.
Yeah.
Rapper's Delight, you probably know that song. Let's see. Hank, along with his bandmates Wonder Mike and Master G, released the 15-minute track, Rapper's Delight. His iconic verses were heavily borrowed from rhymes originally written by Bronx rapper Grandmaster Caz, who received no royalties. So there's some controversy behind Big Bank Hank. But such is the life of early hip-hop.
Big Bank indeed.
Big Bank. Anyway, so there is at least one hip-hop Hank out there. Please excuse me if I'm missing, like, number one artist, MC
Maybe,
Hank.
You know what? All of the Hanks that are listening to our podcast, or all of the people, that's going to be our poll. Do you know a Hank? I don't think...
Comment in the comment section. Drop it below.
We're looking
Drop
for
your
Hanks.
favorite Hank.
All right. Yep. Should we just do this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do yours first, because we're already on the Hank train. So here we go.
Kate's list.
Can you give us a primer about your list? Is there any theme going through this?
Well, there wasn't a conscious theme. Okay, so I'm not a social media influencer, but during COVID, I started these coffee playlists that I didn't even mean to. It's just we were all so lonely during COVID. And to be honest, I'm a coffee plebeian. Like, I'm not really a coffee snob, but I was bored. And so I started learning how to make different syrups and making fun little coffee things. Anyway, I started posting photos on my Instagram stories of just a coffee mug that I was drinking out of that morning and whatever song I was listening to that day. And I was just doing it because it was just COVID. I wasn't trying to start a series, who cares? But funnily enough, all of these people got really attached to not only where I was, because I was traveling a lot during COVID. I moved up to Alaska, I lived in the mountains, and then every time I stopped, I would get all these messages from people being like, "Are you okay?" Or they'd be like, "Where are your coffee posts?" So I'm still doing them 4 years later. Or God, 6 years later. Anyway, I really try to actually just put down the music I'm listening to that week. Like what comes up, what I've been thinking about. So
yeah, that's the point. I feel like if you go in and try to like hyper curate this, it's not personal. Great. Well, without further ado, the playlist from Coffee Plebeian Kate Bass.
What a pretentious word for me to have used to talk about how not pretentious
as a
I am about coffee. Oh, I love this list.
All right. Let's see. Who's jumping out? Frank Zappa, right off the bat, is awesome. You might have to explain a lot of these because I don't recognize most of this list. And
oh, that's exciting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of pumped to see some new stuff. Can you lead us through this?
Yeah, I'll lead you through it. So I'll start. Okay. I'll start with the first song. Do you know Sam Henshaw?
Mm-mm. Wait, did you play Sam Henshaw for me one time?
I probably did because if
he's
I
like
swear
standing
to
in
God,
his room, like it's kind of a one-shot music video.
I don't know.
Anyway,
maybe Sam Henshaw. We were talking about PJ Morton last week and just how, like, if you don't know PJ Morton or Leon Bridges, what's wrong with you? Sam Henshaw, I love his vibe. I love his music. I love his singing. That song, Broke. If I wasn't broke, ooh. Do you know that song? Spend more time, oh my God, it's such a vibe. It's so great. It's so great. It's funny. He's an incredible singer. The song, you were talking last week a lot about pockets. The song, like the whole song is just a pocket. I just love that song. Watermelon and Easter Hay, Frank Zappa. So I had a friend who was dating the bass player in the Zappa Plays Zappa band. And when I lived in New York City years ago, they came and did a performance. It was just one of these really fun nights where I flirted with Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah, you did.
The whole show was so weird. I didn't really get Frank Zappa at the time. I was younger. I didn't really understand the Frank Zappa. But for those of you who don't know Frank Zappa, he was, what was he, like a 60s and 70s rock star? Is that the time? I think that's around the time. And he just wrote really unusual music. That's actually, as you get to know it better, it's very complex, very, very intelligent, very interesting. Some of it's very goofy and quirky. But anyway, so... Yeah. Esoterical, that's the right word. But so I loved Watermelon and Easter Hay. Here's the story about it that I know, and I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on Frank Zappa, and there are Zappa experts who will hate me as much as all of the Hanks out there who feel unheard and unseen.
Hanks and Franks.
That was really good. That was really good. What was I saying? Okay, so
you're flirting with Zappa.
I was flirting with Dweezil Zappa, but that's of no matter in this story. So apparently this song, Watermelon and Easter Hay, was a song that Zappa had written, I think, for his wife. And when he died, she told the band, "You're not allowed to play that song. It's too powerful for me. It hits me so hard." There's no words in it. Frank Zappa does this monologue in the very beginning. And then he talks about how at the end of this guy's journey, there's this legendary guitar solo that comes up. And then he just plays this guitar solo. I have goosebumps just talking about it. It's one of these epic rock power ballad kind of solos, and it goes on for 9 minutes, and every time that song comes on, I just feel like something big is happening. I don't know how to describe it, but when he played that song at the Beacon Theater in New York, Dweezil Zappa played that song. I turned to my friend, and she told me this backstory to it, and apparently it was one of the first times that song had ever been played in public, and Frank Zappa's wife was in the audience at the time.
Whoa.
And it was this beautiful, powerful moment of the son acknowledging his father's legacy and the love story between the mother and the father. And God knows what the reality was. But I guess that's the thing about art, right? And about stories is we don't always know what the real meaning behind the whole thing is, but we know what it meant to us at the time. And so anyway, I love that song. It's a great song. And then I have to say, Oh, What a World by Casey Musgraves. I have a voice student who was working on that song, and I didn't actually know it. I know of Casey Musgraves. Obviously she's a very famous singer here in the States, and she's got a great personality. Anyway, that song, my student was singing it, and I was just so affected by what a lovely lyrical concept was behind it. So that was my thought with that one. And then the other Skilo, I Wish. It just had to go in, it's a great song. And I feel like that's one of these songs that we all, I wish I was a little bit taller. Everybody needs Kate Bass rapping. That's definitely a thing the world needs. But I feel like every, at least American youth knows the words to that song. I wish I had a girl that looked good. I would call her. I wish I had a rap. But then the other day I was driving and that song came on the radio and I was like, oh, this song's actually really good. It's good, and it's not just the chorus that's good. I really like the lyricism, not just in the words, but in the melodic tone of his voice as he's doing it. And then there's Jerome by Lizzo. And again, I think maybe a lot of people who haven't listened to her albums might not know Jerome as well as her more famous tunes. Do you know Jerome?
Right, you don't get the singles. You only get the singles. You don't get the
album,
the B-sides, the deeper cuts.
Right. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's got this kind of like old school retro vibe. But then she just, oh my God, her singing is so good. And it's so fun to sing along with. And she's totally ragging on this guy who's coming after her, who she's just like, oh my God, grow up. So anyway, I love that song. Don't Wait by Mape is a song that came up just randomly on a Spotify playlist years ago, back during COVID. And I just loved it. And so I put it on. I wish I had more to say about that one.
No, sometimes I think that's the best one is like, I just liked it.
Yeah. I feel like she's got a great vibe in it too. I think this week was a lot of vibes. I was just feeling a lot of vibes. Dedicated to You is a really great jazz song. Most jazz musicians would call it a standard, but I think a lot of people who aren't jazz musicians probably don't know Dedicated to You as well. I knew the version that Ella Fitzgerald had sang for most of my life, but recently I heard the version by Johnny Hartman and John Coltrane, who's a famous saxophone player.
Your favorite?
My favorite, but actually a good saxophone. I love a good saxophone. There's who can't love a good saxophone? I just feel like, okay, I'm not going to talk smack about saxophones today. But anyway, not today, Richie.
Not today. All right.
That song though, just it's just, again, it's such a vibe. It's so Johnny Hartman's voice. John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman had a famous duo. They performed a lot of ballads together. And there's just this beautiful velvety tone between the two of them. It's so like you just want a nice glass of deep red wine and just sit back and listen to it some kind of rainy summer evening. And then the last English one, Don't Let the Good Times Pass You By. I think Don't Let the Good Life Pass You By Mama Cass. That actually, I just was listening to it the other day. My mom loves Mama Cass. And that song just came up and I was like, oh, man. That's yet another song. I feel like that's another song. Just everybody knows the mamas and the papas. Probably most Americans know "Dream a Little Dream of Me," "Stars shining bright above you."
Mm-hmm. That's not the one I think of. Dream a little dream of
me. What do you think of?
California Dreamin'. That's mamas and papas to me.
They have so many good tunes. There's also "If I Had a Hammer."
Anyway, I won't digress too much.
This was just a great song of hers that I think probably not as many people know, so I wanted to share it. Nice. So anyway,
can you set the record straight on Mama Cass? I feel like there's a incorrect rumor about how she died, and do you know this? So there's a terrible rumor that she died because she choked on a ham sandwich, and that is not true. It's like if you search Mama Cass, that will come up as the first suggestion from Google. It was heart failure, not to bring the mood down too much, but it wasn't from a ham sandwich. So I just want to correct the record for Mama Cass. That's how she passed away. But she was an amazing singer, and not just with Mamas and Papas, but in her own right, having her own solo career. Yeah.
People are so disappointing, the rumors that get
I
spreaded
know
about women.
It's probably one person.
Well, everyone,
exactly.
Not just women, but everyone. Yeah.
Well, even like Elvis, I think, has a rumor about how he died.
That's true.
Anyway,
Tupac.
Why don't you whisper that? Tupac.
Yeah. Anyway, Richie and I have the tremendous luck to be able to know so many people around the world and know so many artists and people who kind of follow the work we've been doing. And so I am also thinking, as I'm making these playlists, I want to not just bring new music for the crowd here in the US or in the West, but I want to also be able to show people abroad some music that they might not know of from America. I've had my own struggles with where I'm from, but It makes me sad when people say that Americans have no culture. America and the United States of America is made up of so many different cultures and people, and those cultures do come together, not always, but often, and create things. And there are things here that I'm proud of, And I guess sometimes I just want to share some of the good too.
Well, it's not fair to categorize any group or country as this monolith. In the United States, not only do we have 50 states, but within the states, we have, Colorado has the mountains and the plains and Denver and Pueblo, and you're in Austin, Texas, but there are 100 different parts of Texas. They're all different. Yeah. And it's easy as a human being to say, oh, this is what the Australians think. This is what a Chinese person thinks. But the reality is, our lives are much more enriched when we look at the one person, Mama Cass, who's different than the rest of the mamas and the papas. Cass Elliot, she is different even within that small microcosm, and she's different as a solo artist than she is as part of a group. I don't know. That's the part. I think that's what's cool about music, is that we are all changing, and every artist puts out new music. So
it's such a reflection of just who we are as humans. I also just think a lot of times it's hard to really comprehend the size of the United States of America until you're here and you're trying to drive across, the panhandle of Florida or like Texas, or don't even get me started on my homeland of Alaska. And to bring that in the conversation.
The largest state in the Union.
But I don't think people fully comprehend that every state here is like the size of Italy, or the size, I mean, not exactly, but oftentimes. And there are different cultures and different groups of people that are all shaped by these complicated histories, some, that have lots of bad and lots of good. And there's a lot of stories of immigrants. There's a lot of stories of indigenous cultures that were practically erased. There are a lot of stories also of people coming together and innovating and building new things. And there's good and bad. And it's this crazy experiment, the United States, that has so much tragedy, but it also has some really interesting stuff. When I go to New Orleans, I feel like if everyone could see the culture here, and if everyone could see the culture when they're in Detroit, or hearing blues music in St. Louis, Missouri, or going to one of these country bars here in Austin and two-step dancing, like there's culture, and it's not all what you see in the mainstream. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So
totally.
Anyway,
have you right now we are filming this during the beginnings of the World Cup, and all of these fans from other countries that are able to travel here there's some videos of people that are trying to take ranch dressing home, or really excited about these, very American style foods that they're encountering, or American things. And I don't know, it's that sort of authentic innocence of like, oh, this is different and interesting, and it's new to me, and I like it, or I don't like it. I think that's a really fun thing to be watching, and something that I do like about the World Cup.
Yeah,
which certainly has its issues, but I'm enjoying some of the things that are really good about it, including that.
I'm glad you talked about the World Cup, because that's been on my mind this week. It's funny because when people come here and they're so excited about Costco and Waffle House, it's so cute to us, because those are places that for us were kind of like,
another Waffle House.
But at the same time, I don't know, I hope that as they're here longer too, they're seeing how Americans are actually pretty nice people. And I don't know, I hope they go to local diners, and I hope they check out more of the local scenes and places too, and not just go home with the ranch dressing, but also go home with the B-sides of Mama Cass and stuff, There's so much more. Anyway, okay.
Bringing it back.
Bringing it back.
I'm curious, Nakamura with Hiatus Coyote and Q-Tip. I would like to know about that one in particular. And I am curious about, where is it? The Cambodian Soul Sounds, Man of Constant Sorrow.
Yeah.
That's a cover, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I brought that in for you.
Oh, all right. Why? Am I a man of constant sorrow? Am I bringing you down, Kate?
No, we were talking about...
All right, so
we were talking about cover songs last week, and we were talking about people doing good covers, and I don't know in what part of my travels I discovered the song, but it's a cover of I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow, like classic American folk. And it's a Cambodian group doing the whole song it's just so odd and fun.
That's such a piques my interest
Yeah.
genre
Yeah.
of other English or other languages covering American songs.
It's not that the original isn't amazing. Of course, that's a really,
Right.
really well-known American tune. But it was so fun to hear it in this very traditional, exotic Cambodian way. So that's that one. And then Nakamura is just a hip hop tune that came up years ago. I think I heard it playing in the background in a restaurant at an airport, and I saved it to my playlist. And I have a travel playlist that I listen to a lot of times when, Richie and I have had to do, as we've said, a lot of traveling, and that's a lot of airports, a lot of running through places and trying to get through layovers and, missing flights and having your suitcase break and running around. And I find that having playlists just kind of keep me going. And so every time that song comes up now, it brings back fun memories of like running through some random airport somewhere in the world, like
Right.
trying to
Well, and that's
catch
such
your
a
next
weird
flight.
combo. Not to say they shouldn't do anything together, but I am always intrigued when somebody like Q-Tip, who has acclaim and fame and a huge history, collaborates with a band that I frankly haven't heard of. And they're an Australian band, and they do future jazz and neo soul, apparently.
Mhm.
This is my quick
Yeah.
Google search of this, but I'm just so intrigued. Like, oh, hey, Q-Tip showed up at your show and heard your song, would love to collaborate. Is that how that worked? I don't know. It's just those kind of collabs and connections are always intriguing to me.
Yeah, you'll hear it when you hear the song. You know what I love about it is that it doesn't hit you over the head with, oh, this is acid jazz mixed with hip hop. It's just like, this is a cool song. And I think that's what we've been going for with Global Music Collective, is to try to make other sounds accessible, because they sound really cool together. Like, since I'm on this America tear right now, which is kind of funny because it's almost Independence Day here in America.
It
But
is.
there's just something fun about hearing a piece of music that sounds very relatable. It doesn't freak your ears out like, oh, this is something I've never heard before, but it's got these fresh new sounds within it. So yeah, I love that about that song.
Awesome.
Would you like to ask me about I Calhoun?
I would love. Yes, that's what I was just going to ask you about. This was such a trend for a while, is adding either punctuation or going all caps. I think Billie Eilish, she all caps or no caps. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't know, but I love Billie Eilish. Don't even come down on Billie Eilish.
No, this is not a.
Okay.
We were all, you and I were alive when we were interested in adding a period at the end of a name. Was it fun?
Yeah.
Not fun. No, it was fun. I
Yeah.
think Fun Period is the name of the band.
Right. It's like
That
a
was
cool trend.
It was a trend. Anyways,
Well,
that has nothing to do with the song. Tell me about Calhoun.
I love that you said that, because that really does have nothing to do with it. So Awit is someone who I met in Eritrea. You were asking me about Eritrea last week, and I promised you that I would show you a little bit about the music this week. It's such a long story. There's no way that we could fit it into this podcast. When I went to Eritrea, it was my first trip in cultural diplomacy, and I didn't really know what it was going to be like and what I was doing. I got a call. I actually got an email from this company that was putting on different programs funded through U.S. embassies. John, the head of it, asked if I might be interested in doing a program where I brought opera, Broadway, and songwriting to a couple different countries. The first two were Eritrea and Lebanon. And I went to Eritrea, and it's a special, beautiful place. It is a complicated place. It's a tiny country right next to Ethiopia. They're right in the Horn of Africa, and they have this incredible coffee culture, like what I'm sure you experienced in Ethiopia. And they have music and language unlike anything I've ever heard before. So the language that they speak in Asmara is Tigrinya. It looks a lot like Amharic, but it's different. The sounds that they use when they speak are somewhere in between Arabic the sound that comes from further down in the throat, and there's lots of different kinds of consonants, and it's tremendously hard. Anyway, I showed up in Eritrea with no idea what this was going to be, and it's a country that at the time not many outsiders were very often granted access into, and for that reason, it felt like entering a culture that had really been preserved for themselves in a way that I haven't experienced anywhere else before. It's a very interesting place, and the people that I met there absolutely blew my mind. I walked into this room with very little briefing on what the culture was, what we were supposed to do. All I knew was that I had 8 hours a day. We were supposed to do opera and songwriting and Broadway, and
That's a lot.
maybe 2 people in the group spoke English.
Wow.
This was my first time doing anything like this. And we had a culminating performance at the end. This was sponsored by the acting embassy at the time. They're not fully operational because we have complicated relations between our two countries. So this was a high-profile thing that we were doing. And again, I had no idea what the heck was going to happen. And anyway, the way that people responded to me was basically with really, really blank expressions in the beginning. People either didn't understand, but also I found out later they come from a culture where they don't express as openly as we do. There were so many layers that we don't need to get into here about why our forms of expression were so different. And I didn't know what to do. No one knew really what Broadway was. Maybe two people knew what Broadway was. There was one or two people who were amazing opera singers. They have a very complicated history there. They used to be occupied by the Italians back when Mussolini was in charge. And they have an opera house there. And there are some people who still keep up that tradition, which is so unusual. I had to figure out how to connect with these people, and trying to talk to them about Broadway didn't make a damn bit of difference. They didn't really have a lot of access at the time to the internet to even really be inundated with American culture like everyone is. And so after the first or second day of trying to follow the rules of what the program was supposed to be, I gave up and I just said, listen, just sing for me. Sing for me in Tigrinya. Sing for me your songs. I'll tell you what I think you're saying, and we'll just start a conversation after that. And I had some really wonderful people in the group that spoke enough English that translated for me. And as time went on and people started singing for me, I started learning some words in Tigrinya. Like, I remember I learned the word for strength, and I learned the word for trust, and I learned the word for shy. And where I couldn't find the right word and where translation didn't work, I just tried to use body language and different other forms of communicating, whether it was through dynamics in my voice or eye contact, and they did the same. And as a few days went on, people started to trust me. I think they were like, all right, this lady's really trying. She's curious, she's interested, she's trying. And so they started giving me more. And Awit came up and sang this song for me. And I'll never forget. It was a voice like nothing. I'm about to cry. It was like nothing I've ever heard in my entire life. It was so beautiful and so powerful and so full of soul and emotion and depth. And I didn't understand the first thing about the words he was singing, but I just felt something so deep inside of me. And he and I then had some conversations. Like, he spoke okay English. It was pretty broken. Anyway, Awit told me his story. Awit grew up in a small village. He had a sister and a mother. He grew up supporting them. Awit loved music. He just wanted to be a musician. That was his thing. And when he was about to graduate high school, something happened to him and he got drafted into the military. And he said, I don't want to be in the military. I want to be a singer. And he was in prison at the age of 18. So that's where he was when he was 18, one of the most amazing singers that I've ever heard. This happened for the course of probably about a decade. There were so many stories that he told me of just tremendous adversity that he had to fight. One day, a monk came and brought him food. And he started singing this song, Ay Kalkun. This was his song that he wrote in prison. It goes, da 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 da. He sang this to me a cappella in this room. And I had no idea the backstory behind it. And it felt so powerful and so beautiful to me. It stuck with me so strongly that at the very end of this whole program, we performed on national television. I sang in Tigrinya on their national television. The audience went absolutely nuts when I sang in their language. And it wasn't because I was so amazing. Like, I wasn't. I think it was because for them it was maybe one of very few times that they heard a foreigner get up on stage and try, and just try. And this performance ended, and a few of us were celebrating, and I'm sitting there with a couple people and Awit. We're all having this coffee ceremony at 2 a.m. I didn't know how to possibly tell them how much that time meant to me. Like, the friendships that I formed with these people just through trying to communicate through music together and getting to know each other on this incredibly deep, intangible level that transcended any kind of casual conversations we could have about whatever. All I could think to do was just sing that So we were just sitting around having this coffee, and we're all just kind of looking at each other, thank you, thank you, thank you, friend, friend.
Yeah.
And so I just sang, and they started singing back in harmony.
Ooh.
Anyway, Awit has since left the country. He now lives in Sweden. And we've kept in touch every now and then, and I hear what he's up to. And he's had his own struggles and successes since then, and we've fallen out of touch a bit over the years. And when I saw that I Calcoon had been released, this song that he wrote in the most tremendously adverse circumstances, that this person who just wanted nothing more than to be a musician, he just wanted to sing, just to know that he's doing it. He released the song, like in the most impossible circumstances. This person moved heaven and earth to be able to find a way to make music. And he got that song out there, and it's just sitting on Spotify and nobody knows about it. I think it's why I sacrificed everything to try to do this work with you, I feel like we live in this world where everything's about how to market the next thing and how to, are they, putting a period at the end? Is this a trend, or are they playing trending audio, or do we have enough of a hook for our podcast? Are people going to listen? And we have to do that because we have to live. But there are people like this man who are the things that they have accomplished, and the worlds that they have experienced, and the stories that they have lived, and the color that they bring to this planet is so powerful. The world is so rich and so diverse and so full of variation and depth and beauty and struggle and strength. And how could I possibly go back to just caring about my opera career? How could I possibly go back to like being upset that more people didn't come out to my gig at, whatever music bar? I just want people to know Awit. I want people to know what's out there.
If you're listening now, we will probably have to edit out some of it. We want to make sure the details we share are safe, not too sensitive. But it's an amazing story, and I think we'll try to keep as much of that as we can.
Yeah,
'cause that's
find what we can.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like he wanted to sing because he wanted to sing. He wanted to make music. And it wasn't to be a top 40 artist. Maybe that would be a nice goal at some point, but that wasn't the driving force, I don't think. And I would imagine, you said this was not the first day of the program. He probably had this song inside of him, and just you being there and listening and trying to learn a couple words in the language and trying, even if it's unsuccessful, that was probably in his heart for a day or two, and until he decided to make it happen.
And it's also very interesting to know he was incredibly famous in Eritrea. We would walk around as Mara and everyone knew him. He was a celebrity. He won Eritrean Idol right after he got out of prison. Like, no joke. He was he's a celebrity in Eritrea.
Wow.
Yeah. And who knew? It's like Dovran Shambuyev, who we love and have worked with in Turkmenistan. Dovran is an actual celebrity. Everyone in Turkmenistan knows Dovran Shambuyev. And outside of Turkmenistan, he's largely unknown. And there are so many people like this all over the world that are wildly successful in their own region or their own country, their own locale. And yeah.
Well, that seems like a good reason to do this podcast, is to share them and that, and push it through what otherwise is an environment controlled by the giant record companies, frankly, and the Spotifys of the world. I cannot wait to listen to this track.
And actually, that reminds me, so as we're talking about these people who are celebrities in their own right, who then come out into other parts of the world and are largely unknown, I was really blown away. I have a friend who I made years ago back in California who I taught voice lessons to, and she's from Venezuela. And I had told her I had gone to a performance in LA of Natalia Lafourcade, and I got into her music and discovered she's actually very famous in Mexico, and she's done a lot here in America since. But anyway, my friend from Venezuela was like, oh, she's a pop star. Everybody knows her. You've got to hear Nella. And I was like, who's Nella? And she's also extremely famous in Venezuela. Have you heard of her?
I have not heard of her.
Me neither. Listen to that song. It is such a vibe. Me llama Nella, I think is how you say it. And she says Nella, not Nea. I heard her singing and I was like, this is just amazing. And it's so funny because probably people in Venezuela or from Venezuela who are listening to this, they're probably like, yeah, Nello. It's like us. It's like Germans getting excited about Waffle House. No, Nella is not Waffle House. She is way more amazing.
All right, fair enough.
It's just interesting to me how many people are so famous in certain places and we don't know them.
Yeah, it reminds me, because I think that means like they call me Nella, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe it was like a take on that. Like, they call me Stacy. They call me Jane. That's not my name. I just assumed maybe that's what it was, but probably not.
No, but
I
you
went
gotta listen
Waffle
to that
House.
song.
You went legitimate music. Anyway. All right.
Well, there's one other here that's from Egypt, and I wish I could say her name right. It's Nai. I wish I could pronounce her name right. I'm embarrassed that I can't, but I love her music. I went to Egypt with the same cultural diplomacy work that I did in Eritrea. I got to spend an incredible month in Cairo. Nobody goes to Cairo very often when they're visiting from abroad. They usually go, or they'll go to Cairo for a day. They'll see the pyramids. They'll say, oh, it's big and crazy and, whatever. And then they'll go to the other incredible historical sites. But I had this opportunity to get to know Cairo really well. And Cairo's an incredible city. It's massive. The food is out of this world. The people are amazing. The culture is so rich. And it's not just ancient culture. They've got this incredible history like Kulthum. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's, legendary Arabic singer. We got to stay in this area that had cobblestone streets called Zamalek. All of the great artists and musicians of the golden age lived there at one point, and we would be smoking shisha on the street, drinking Egyptian coffee and just listening to this beautiful music. And one of them, a friend of mine, introduced me to this woman that's singing Faye Ainaika, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm sorry, everybody who's listening, if they are from Egypt or any Arabic speaking country. I love your language and your music, and I actually tried to learn it for a while, but I'm terrible at pronouncing it. But she is this incredible singer. She sings this kind of fusion of jazz and Arabic music. Anyway, last one is my friend Mohab Sami and his new track, Zephyr. He's a very well-known and very, very talented producer in Cairo. This is a track that has some great electronic beats, but there's a clarinetist who's playing in it with him, playing this very, very beautiful Middle Eastern sounding clarinet. And I don't know enough about the backstory. I know that they recently released it. And what I love is that when I first heard the track, I thought that it must be a synthesized clarinet sound. And then I looked on his Instagram and I saw that it is an actual human playing the actual clarinet while Mohab DJs. It's incredible. I just love it because I love hearing this is the electronica that's coming out of Cairo. But I think that kind of covers my whole list of this week. Oh, there's also Jaho from Kiz Daniel because I was talking about Kiz Daniel last week. That's a great Afrobeats tune. There's just so much out there to see. That's what I would say about my list this week. There's so much out there to see and it's all such a vibe.
Yeah. There's so much on here to dive into. I like that you have two Egyptian tracks on there. Egypt, there's this famous picture that they always use for the Jazz Ambassadors, which is the beginnings of the program where we met. Jazz Ambassadors was this program back in the 60s that started where they would send jazz musicians out. And you've got Louis Armstrong playing the trumpet in front of a pyramid. It's kind of iconic for that. By the way, it is Louis. I was corrected on this, not Louis. Years ago, I dabble, but I'm not an expert in everything. And so I said Louis and this fabulous saxophonist.
Yeah, saxophone.
With, Brent Burkhead. He was like, you know what? I just want to let you know, he preferred Louis Armstrong. He explicitly wanted to be called Louis Armstrong and not Louis. So,
yeah, there you go.
Now
I don't know why I said I actually knew that because there's a great, yeah.
Well, it sounds good on podcasts when you're like, oh, what interesting news that you brought to me. That I've never, yeah. All right, well, Kate knew it, but I didn't years ago, and now I do, and now you do too. Unless everybody out there knew it already, and I'm just the last person on planet Earth.
Last person
Louis
rich.
Armstrong, it's Louis.
Yeah.
Armstrong, last person rich.
All right. That's my list.
What a list.
I'm so excited to see Richie's.
Make sure that you check out our Substack and our Patreon where we put this list and mine as well. We've got last week's on there as well. If you want to listen to our podcast and then go check out the playlist, that is a good place to find it. you're also welcome to subscribe or support us and help us continue this. But that's the end of Kate Bass, the coffee plebs list.
The coffee pleb who cries too much.
Is it pleb or plebe? I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't pronounce anything.
I brought you plebeian. That's all.
Plebeian. Anyway.
All right, Richie.
All right. Am I up?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm the only one left. I'm up. All right.
Are you ready?
Are you ready for my list? You better be ready for this list because it's coming at you. Bam.
Ooh, you've got little.
Can you see it?
Little sound waves. Why does it have sound waves?
Yeah, it allows you to like export the waveform. Not that
that's fun.
This gives you really any information. I guess it does. So waveform, if you are a music producer, this is old news. But if you're just looking at this is probably giving you like the volume throughout. Anyway.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Richie,
Kate.
I'm blown away here because there's another song here that I'm shocked you have on because I know you didn't recommend it to me and we both love it and it's kind of random.
Okay. I'm curious.
It's Go Easy Kid.
Go Easy Kid, Monica Martin.
I love that you have that. And of course you got Jacob Collier. I'm so glad you're the one who put it up and not me.
I was going to say, like, one of us was going to, at some point, put Jacob Collier on there.
I want to hear all your stuff. Tell them about Jacob. I want to hear where you're at with Jacob Collier today and with that song. And
okay,
you should share our story about Mumbai.
Okay, I'll share the story about Mumbai. Jacob Collier is this incredible virtuosic musician, which is probably not a fair summation of him. He actually seems to really care about what he does and loves the music and loves sharing it and loves doing these crowd performances where he performs with the audience. My aunt the other day sent me a text with his name in there. She's like, you should collaborate with this guy. And I responded, like, that would be incredible. But
dear Jacob,
he has gone from kind of a YouTube sensation where he would, get into these like very deep music discussions in a very approachable way. Now he's, world famous musician, won Grammys and collaborated with anybody that is anybody. And he's pretty fabulous. My friend Laws initially shared with me this video where he basically says he explains music theory on, I think it's like 4 or 5 different levels. And then he sits next to this other like great jazz piano player. But before that, it was a kind of college jazz student. And before that, it was sort of an amateur musician. And then before that, it was somebody who doesn't know anything about music, if I remember right. And it was cool because he seems to care about it and he loves the chords and the progression. And from a musician's perspective, it's just mind-boggling because for as much music as I've done, I'm not the world's foremost expert on music. And so even, for me, a lot of what he talks about is over my head and sometimes intimidating. And sometimes it when I first started listening to it, it'd come across as like, oh, you're just doing this for the sake of being complicated, or you're making these chord progressions and quarter tone movements and stuff just to show off. But then you kind of watch his videos or do what Kate and I did, and we actually got to see him in concert in Mumbai. And you can see that he actually really, really cares about it. And he just does it because that's what his brain hears and likes. And so it's hard not to like him the more you watch and the more you kind of get to know him. So, but that was a really cool moment. He actually like walked behind us and was doing his crowd participation thing right around us. It's a one-man show where he's playing the piano and then singing and then playing other instruments. He's really the definition of a virtuoso, but in a very approachable and frustratingly good way.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of intimidating, right? And the thing is, I could write my absolute best song and it still wouldn't be, in my opinion, as good and as complex and still like catchy and meaningful as Jacob Collier. He's just so good, but he also seems like such a nice guy.
I know. I can only imagine walking into the room thinking, oh God, I'm going to collaborate with Jacob Collier. I have to do something impossible. And the way this song in particular comes across, it sounds so effortless. It sounds fun. It sounds singable. And if you are on the outside looking in towards Jacob Collier, this is worth a listen. There's a million songs that he's done that it would be approachable, but I liked this one this week. And so that's why it is in the list.
That's amazing. That was a really, really, really good way to describe Jacob Collier. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah,
Love it.
it was a process. I'll have to be honest, because
Yeah.
there was a point where I stood kind of behind this wall that I had made, where I thought, I don't want to like him because he's so good. That's I don't know if any other professions have that. Like if you're a football player and you're like, I don't like Tom Brady because he's good at throwing the football, but then you respect. I don't know him as a person.
And he's hot. Sorry.
Exactly.
I speak the
That's
truth.
you speak the truth. Well, hey, he's on commercials and anyway, whatever. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I've lost my train of thought.
Jacob Collier, you're just saying that it was a process, and I've been witness to the process. Like I've known Richie from a point where he was like, okay, I respect the guy, but I don't know. What's really cool is just Jacob Collier himself has kind of made it hard to misunderstand him, because he's just been so like, I'm just going to be me and I'm going to keep being me.
But I feel like Jacob Collier is more like, I'm comfortable in this whole thing. Like the whole thing is just his little room. Even you go back to his old music videos and it's just he just has stuff everywhere and he walks around and plays it.
I like that everything that he does could be taken, before you really get to know it, as like an act or a show. But he's just done such a good job of just being himself always, no matter what, that it's undeniable. He is just undeniably himself. And I'm glad that you've come around, because I love him.
I've come around.
Yeah, but it's good. Yeah. It's been real. Okay, so tell me
Where
about...
to next?
Well, oh my God.
There's a lot on here.
Spirit
all
Bird.
Over the place.
Maybe you taught me Spirit Bird, because that's on my playlist too, but I think you might have sent that.
Spirit Bird is Xavier Rudd, an Australian artist. He advocates for a lot of sustainable rights and sustainable practices, Aboriginal and Indigenous rights in Australia. They've got their own issues with that, and a lot of his music addresses that and tries to approach that. We used to take a yoga class at our local Crunch gym, which does sound incongruous. Crunch. It's like the fist holding the title, and you go there and you have a lovely yoga session. Anyways, the yoga leader, she played this song, and you can see in the waveform, actually. All right, the waveform is useful. You can see that it's like 5 minutes of very chill, low instrumentals and kind of wandering vocals, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and this last 2 minutes here is just full on, and I love a build. You can actually probably see this in most of the songs that I seem to have some kind of a build, whether it's within the moment of the song or throughout the whole song itself.
He likes a build.
I love a build, especially a 7-minute build. Oh man, that's a slow burn. I love a slow burn.
We got to get you into more classical Hindustani music. I'm just telling you, when those tabla beats drop after 5 minutes of this meditative, just sitar, it's cool. Anyway. That's cool. So you definitely taught me that song, because I do have it on my playlist. Will you tell me about this one song that I'm seeing on your playlist that just speaks to many things in me, which is called The Book of Boba Fett?
The Book of Boba Fett.
What the heck is this?
Are you a Star Wars fan? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I know one of the sci-fi franchises that you like, and I don't mean to put you on blast here, but are you a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan, or can you be both?
Explain to me how telling the world that I'm a Star Trek fan is putting me on blast. Explain to me.
Look, I'm not saying that they're incongruous, but I feel like there's a Ford and Chevy divide here where.
Okay, so let me just say.
Okay.
I resent that nerds have to fight among nerds.
Tell them. Okay.
I grew up watching Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I spoke Klingon as a child. Yes, I did. I'm a huge Star Trek nerd.
It's all out now. It's all out there.
I also absolutely loved Star Wars. I skipped school in high school to watch the new Star Wars movie that ended up being terrible. That came out. I love Star Wars. So that's you got me going.
I got you going.
You're being quiet.
The real takeaway is that Kate speaks Klingon, if anybody needs to share
and
a
she
message.
doesn't. I don't know why. If you like dogs, you can also like cats. You don't have to choose. It doesn't need to be binary all the time.
That's
anyway.
Okay.
Tell me about The Book of Boba Fett by Ludwig Göransson. What is it?
Ludwig Göransson is this amazing scoring artist. He has won so many awards. I think he won a Grammy for doing the Black Panther soundtrack, and The Book of Boba Fett is the title song.
Oh.
And so it plays every time that, they cut away to the title. But I enjoyed the series, but every time the title came on, I just really liked it. So
That's
I
cool.
put it in here. And I'm a big fan of any, like, this word is loaded, but cinematic music. I think if you're looking for samples or plugins, cinematic is such a catch-all word for just big. But I think if it's in a film, I really have this particular connection to it as a person with visual memory, and I really attracted to like tying visual things to sound, and so Ludwig
I like that.
did it for me.
That's awesome.
What else is in here? So I've tried to pick stuff that has stories behind it, and I won't dive too far into them.
Why? I went off for like 30 minutes by it.
Yeah,
we could cut
like
things.
My stories are like I played a video game and I liked it. So
that's fine. Those are just stories important.
Your story was like this. You changing the world and
yeah, but people get so bored with that all the time. And it bothers me because I get so like serious and philosophical about stuff, and then I think a lot of people who just like read my content or whatever online, they think that I'm just like a very serious person, and I spoke Klingon. So like, tell me about your video games.
Okay, I'm telling you about my video game.
Life is colorful and it involves both.
That's true. All right. So when I was in college, I got an internship over the summer in Chicago, where I went and I was an architect in Chicago, and I got to work with a cool architecture firm. And I actually had a friend that lived semi-close to said architecture firm. And so I lived at his house, and me and his younger brother, when I wasn't architecting or interning, I would go down to the basement and play video games with him because it was just like hot Chicago summer. And side detail, I had knee surgery right before I went out, so I was just in a cast the whole time, and I had to hobble around on crutches. It was not the most ideal situation. So I would play video games, and we got hooked on NBA Street. And another title song, they used this song, Troy, when they reminisce over you is like the initials for Troy. Their friend Troy had passed away, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, and so they wrote this song about him, which was then adopted by NBA Street. I didn't know it either when I played the game. It's just this like iconic. I don't know if that'll get like removed from our podcast for.
Oh no, that's going in. Oh,
it's going in. Yeah, well,
it's us singing it. We're covering it.
We're covering. All right, we probably owe Pete Rock and CL Smooth 7 cents per listen. Anyway, I had it in my head because I thought, oh, cool, what a cool part of this video game. And then you learn the depth behind it, and here we are. So
that's
Troy,
really cool.
They reminisce over you. I think even Kanye referenced it, like when they reminisce over you. My God, anyway.
Even Kanye.
Even Kanye.
Even I want to know tell me like which one is the heaviest, not heaviest, but like the biggest story.
All right, I'll pick out a few. So Drift Away by Dobie Gray. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. That song, we listened to when I was a kid. It was like 9 years old, and we went to a car show, as you do in Steamboat.
I love
Springs,
a car show.
Colorado. And so I went over and I looked at one of the cars, and my mom was like, "Oh, go stand there. I'll take a picture of you next to the car." And I did, and the guy flipped. The guy that owned the car lost his mind and was like swearing at me, this 9-year-old kid, and my mom like, "How dare you, blah, 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 take me to my car?" I was like, "It's a car show. All right, man. Sorry that you're." So it was a stressful moment. But then you get into the car and drive home, and this song I think was on, or we listened to it a few times, and
you got lost in the rock and roll.
Yeah, and drift away. And I don't know, maybe that gave me the segue into becoming an a cappella singer, because there's some lovely harmonies in it, and every a cappella group ever has covered this one. And
really?
It's it really works well a cappella. Good for harmonies, and it's easy to sing, and you can do the part where you drop out, and then like the clap chorus. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. Such a easy gimmick.
I just need to say, I don't think this listening audience knows. They don't know.
They don't know what?
That Richie is an incredible beatboxer.
Thank you.
Like all of the acapella that you did a lot of beatboxing. People who appreciate beatboxing like love beatboxing. But for those who don't really know much about it, it's just kind of like, oh, you beatboxed in an acapella group, and it's like it's incredible what you know about rhythm and layers and actually probably production because of your beatboxing background. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, thanks for that. You can
Back
talk me
to
up
you.
as much as you like. We'll maybe do a whole beatboxing list. I have a whole theories about
Ooh.
beatboxing. It goes back centuries. And anyway.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, so They Say by Om. Om is an a cappella group from France. They are wonderful.
Okay.
But we went to Taiwan and they gave each of the groups that came a song to learn, like a Taiwanese song to learn. They're like, you will perform this as part of the big opening ceremonies and before you go out on your tour. And they gave us a song called the Joy of Country Living, which is not really a song. It's just a poem that is that we like translated or didn't translate. We just put it to music kind of and sang it. And poor Christopher Diaz had to sing in Taiwanese while we all like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did it. We learned it. Christopher learned it way better than the rest of
well
us
done,
because,
Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher is a incredible linguist and was always very well prepared. And so we did this song, and it's just like da 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 da. It's very rudimentary, and then Om comes up, and they crushed. Like they had learned the version. Like everybody spoke in Mandarin, and they sang this language, and it was like an arrangement with stacked chords.
Oh.
Oh jeez, we really had to like check ourselves a little bit, but they were super nice. We loved them, and Om became a lot of our friends. And they wrote their own music too. They wrote original a cappella music, which is rare.
Cool.
A lot of a cappella groups do cover songs only, or 99%. There's even a podcast out there that is like no covers. So Om wrote this. They Say. Again, they're a French group, and they sang this in English. They're just like the coolest people ever and lovely. And so I wanted to drop them in there, mostly to tell that story. And
no, it's a great story.
Secondarily, so you hear.
I love hearing about you getting shown up by other people.
There's so many more stories. So many more. I'm going to tell you about Boston. I loved Boston. I would drive around blasting the CD out of my Saturn with the windows down when I was a teenager. I love them. So the story is they were coming to Red Rocks, which is this iconic amphitheater outdoors in Colorado. I feel like most people have heard of Red Rocks. And the radio station was giving away tickets if you called in. And so I called in, didn't get one. Too bad, missed out. Bought the ticket anyways. And the cool thing about Red Rocks is you can just go early in the morning and watch the band do their sound check and set up and everything. So I just went and got sunburnt and watched them, and they're plugging in their organs and guitars and stuff. And it was cool. And then what they do is like 2 hours before the show is they kick everybody out, and then you stand in line now for general admission. So I was like second in line because I was there so early. And I got a great seat. I was like right as close as I could be, right next to these lovely other people. And the whole concert, I'm singing along because I like Boston and I'm so used to it being loud out of my Saturn that I know all the words. And the people next to me were like, bro, you're 17. Why do you like Boston? They're from the 70s. Why are you singing this? I was like, I just love this song and I love their music. And so they're like, all right, cool. You should come meet him. And so they reached into their bag and they said, like, we were their next door neighbors growing up. Come hang out with them. So she reached over and like slapped the backstage pass on my shirt. Oh. And after the show, everybody's heading towards the exit that way. And we go this way through Red Rocks and down through like these stairwells and alleyways and halls and doors. And eventually we come to this big room and there's Boston. They're just there. The band is there. And Brad Delp, he comes over and just talks for like an hour, and I'm just hanging out with the neighbors and we're chatting, and I'm like, oh, I started playing guitar because of you guys and I like your music. And I'm trying to seem, not like a gushing fan, but just like, hey, I'm cool. Yeah. And the best part about it was that at one point he's like, sorry guys, 1 second. I got to go take care of something. He walks over there and they had brought in the people that won the passes for the radio. And so he goes over and shakes their hand and signs an autograph and talks for like 2 or 3 minutes and then comes back. He's like, sorry, it's just, I got to do that for every show. and he talked to us. And so had I won that pass, I would have only had like a minute to, to like shake a hand.
Oh,
And
whoa.
yeah, so anyway, so he had to go because they're on tour and he's a person. So he, after about an hour of chatting, I said thank you to the people who gave me the pass. And then at Red Rocks, there's just a door outside to the mountain. And so you go out this door after this loud, noisy concert and chaotic backstage and talking to Brad Delp. And then the door closes and you can't get back in, but it's just stars and summer heat and beautiful darkness of midnight. And it was magic. It was like the best music thing that's ever happened to me.
Oh my
So
God.
anytime I hear Boston, I think of that, and still one of my top music experiences of all time.
Richie, you've told me that story before personally. This is funny doing a podcast because like we've been friends for many years and we've
And you
traveled
have to
to
pretend
lots of
like you've heard
places.
it for the first time.
But
Yeah.
actually what's really cool is that in this context, because we're sharing these stories through our playlists, I'm getting to hear a whole nother side of that. Storytelling is so cool. I know that this is not like a great, like unusual thing for someone to say, but it's so interesting. I knew that story about you meeting Boston. I didn't know about the Saturn, and I didn't know about that moment of closing the door and seeing the stars over the mountains. And that was so visceral to hear you say that. Like, what a cool moment. You're a 17-year-old, you just met your heroes, and you walk out and you're in this unbelievably beautiful mountain range, and you just get to like, sorry to sound cheesy, but like, what a joy to be alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what an incredible thing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you need those moments, and that kind of stuff. Like life gets tough. Like you got to pay taxes and do insurance claims, and
Yeah.
pay rent and blah blah blah. All this stuff that we have to do as grown-ups, and I think it's important to have those whole it moments.
Yeah.
If I'm allowed to swear in a podcast, where
I don't know what you can do or not
I
do.
don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, where you go back
Yeah.
to it, because life can be monotonous and boring, and
Yeah.
then to have those little bits, it kind of keeps you going.
I think that's
But
the thing about music too, right? It's not just about going to the concert and hearing the songs. It's about all the things that come along with it. And sometimes I worry that that's what's been kind of missing for a while for a lot of us with music, is that experience. It's not just about the experience. It's not just about the music. But a lot of it feels very distant when you're just listening to it as
yeah,
background or,
what is
anyway. What is Colombia Tierra Querida?
Querida? That is Lucho Bermudez is like a super famous composer and performer and band leader in Colombia. We did an amazing program where we wrote songs with all these amazing artists in Cali, Colombia, which is from what I'm told, it is the salsa capital of the world. And I got to have this like immersion in a salsa culture where that's just like what you do. And I grew up in a way where it was like you stand on other sides of the gym if you're in high school or grade school, and maybe somebody can dance. Yeah, exactly. The lame. You've seen it on every movie. But in Colombia and in a lot of other places in the world, dancing is just like what you do. And it's not weird. It's not the stigma and the American idleness of things where if you're great at it, then you are worth talking to. It's just part of life. It's part of culture, and it makes everything so much easier and more fun. I wish we had that. So I included this song. If you know Colombian music, you should probably know something from Lucho Bermudez and put it there. So this is there. There's a lot of other salsa music worth listening to and a lot of other great Colombian artists, but
Colombia has such incredible, oh my God. My best friend Kathleen is from Colombia, and she would show me all of this different Colombian like art and textiles and, music, of course. I just think Colombia in particular has such incredible, rich, like very colorful culture. It's really cool. I also remember chatting with you while you were on your little solo walkabouts in Colombia, and you had such a blast. Oh my gosh.
it was great.
Yeah.
Although I will say in Cartagena, when it rains, it just floods the whole city, and I have ruined a pair of shoes because I was the only idiot who was like, "Oh, it's raining. I'll just walk back to my hotel," and everybody's standing under the porches and patios, and they're like, "All right, who's this guy running?" Anyway, there are a bunch of other ones on here. La Nuova Stella di Broadway is just it's a cool Cesare Cremonini. I put this in there because one of the first performances that I did was I competed in a karaoke competition, and I won by singing New York, New York. There may have literally just been like me versus nobody, but anyway, I won. And years later, I heard this song, and he's singing about New York. It's not a cover of New York, New York, but it's this cool Italian kind of rock crooner
Ooh, I like
style
that.
thing. Worth a listen for sure.
The new star of Broadway. That's funny. That's cute.
There's so much more. This song is Fum Viperhit, who is from Bangkok, Thailand, and this song Christopher Diaz would always play in our dressing rooms when we were on tour. It's so chill and it's unique. It's fun. He has a cool voice, and it makes me think of our times when we would be on tour.
That's a fun, like, that would be a fun thing to, like, talk to a lot of different artists and see what was your backstage vibe up song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what was the song you listened to kind of get you in the zone? That's cool.
Well, you know, like when you're backstage, like a lot of it is you sound check at 3 and your show's not till 9 or something. So
Yeah.
you have this like obnoxious 5-6 hours to kill, and you can't be up the whole time because then by the time the show shows up, you're out of energy and you feel sick because you're just sitting in this like cold, sweaty dressing room backstage.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they want to go backstage because VIP, but it's like backstages are
It's not that
are
great.
at the worst. No,
Yeah.
it's way better just to go take a nap at the hotel.
I don't know, especially when you're like doing something where you're really focusing on singing. I always hated with dinner because the time that you have to start getting ready to perform is around the time that you would have dinner. And then by the time you're done performing, it's like after midnight and you're ravenously hungry. And I just remember like always finding that so annoying. Like, I guess I'll have a banana for dinner tonight. Like, I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, well, then your dinner becomes either like an old sandwich from 6 hours ago that's been sitting in the dressing room, or 3 beers.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I was singing like opera, so I didn't get the cool like 3-beer lifestyle, but I get it.
Well, it's not as, you just become.
Then you just have a headache and you're tired by the end of the show. Anyway, okay, cool. That's cool.
I can digress more. Maybe I should.
Yeah, please digress more.
Maybe I'll share a song about this next time, but we did some wonderful stints at a place called Europa Park. It's this place in Germany, like South Germany area, right on the border with France and Switzerland. And it was great. Like we had a wonderful time, but we would do like 4 shows a day. And the last one for one of our stints was in their bar Colosseo, which for a long time they allowed smoking there. And we got to know the bartender. And so after this day of performing, we would then like burn everything we had at this last show and jump around and run around the bar and be crazy. And the bartender would always bring us this like tray of beers that we were like, all right, there's a beer here, so we'll drink it. And at the end of the night, you realize like I was just in a smoky bar for like 3 hours drinking beer, and we have to do this every day for the next month and a half. So by the end of a few weeks, we were like husks of men.
No more beer, I beg you.
No more, please, just a glass of water. Anyway, I'll share something about that. Next week, let's see, what else have I not touched on? So Labyrinth is a tremendous, I think he's from England. This song itself is one of those things that I love where it has these like big vocal hits and he really messes with the vocals and does these stacked harmonies and then does electronic stuff to it. I love it. Labyrinth does some really cool other arrangements. And in fact, one of the guys in our a cappella group has started doing some arrangements for him. So shout out Jamal.
Yeah, Jamal.
Who has made a cool jump in his career to arranging for Labyrinth, which is
That's
really
awesome.
dope. Stop Trying by J-Rock. J-Rock is classic hip hop. I love the name of the album, some cool rock stuff. And Stop Trying was just this like it's a cool track that I like, but the best part of it comes at the very end. He does in this track what a lot of other hip hop people do, and they kind of mix in some speaking parts. And right at the end of the song, it hits with this like stop trying, stop trying, stop trying, stop trying. And I think it hit while I was working on something, and it's just like
literally.
Yeah, when you're like really trying to make something work and trying to like force something in your life to happen, whether it's saving up for something or building something or finishing your taxes. And it hit me when he said stop trying. Like, oh, okay, all right, Jay, like, let me chill out a little bit.
Then you open the door to the mountains and the stars above.
Exactly. Yeah. Stop trying to win the thing. Just go and be part of it, and let the universe. I'm not a big like.
You're a
Universe,
big
take me where
Richie's
you
a
can,
big
guy,
universe fan. He's a big
look.
universe
I love the
fan.
universe, but it's. We'll get into that. Two more, and then I will drop the mic here. One is I got another track from Ethiopia. Girma Beyene, Ene Nun Bai Manesh. He was a contemporary of one of the artists from last week, and I'm really intrigued by kind of the Latin jazz stuff that comes out of Ethiopia, particularly from the 60s and 70s. It's a cool vibe. It actually makes me feel like I'm in some old Sean Connery, James Bond spy movie.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's just cool, and again, I love hip hop. I love like older jazz samples in hip hop, and I'm certainly not the only one. A lot of people in hip hop have sampled his work as well, and so I think from last week sample, this is sort of part 2 of that.
Oh, cool.
And then finally, Ruth Mahogany is an artist that I know from Nigeria. She actually, of course, she does some singing and some rap and production stuff on her own, but a lot of her stuff is also spoken word. And I think so. Sometimes spoken word can get a bad rap because you conjure up these ideas of like people being like overly dramatic on a microphone. But I think it is a very close cousin of hip hop. And I think anytime somebody puts something together that they just want to say on a microphone, I think it's cool. It's as close to like, I just want to express myself and say what I need to say as possible. And I think sometimes when you write music, you take away some of the things you want to say, just so it fits either lyrically or rhythmically into a track. And so anytime somebody wants to put spoken word just over music, it makes me feel just like this much closer to that person.
I love that.
And Ruth is a hustler. She just like got her degree. She was always like one of the people in the program that was willing to like organize people. And so I'm always keen to prop up Ruth Mahogany a little bit. And so that's why Transcend is in there.
It's funny what you're saying about spoken word. I talk about this a lot when I'm teaching voice to people who are singing, more like Broadway kind of stuff. And it's interesting in studying Western vocal technique and how to sing. The reason why we're comfortable singing on these kind of notes, when you hear a lot of pop music, it's all around these notes, it's all kind of there, is because that's where we speak. We speak on pitches. And it's kind of interesting. There's a contemporary classical composer named Schoenberg, and he wrote a really famous and very difficult to listen to piece, in my opinion, called Pierrot Lunaire. And it's about this clown that basically goes murderously insane.
Oh.
And it's performed by a singer doing a style called Sprechstimme, which was created in, I think it was the early 1900s that he wrote this. And it's where he would write pitches, like on a Western musical notation score. He would write pitches just with an X, but they would be on the line of a pitch. So the singer is talking like this. And it's like super weird. But there's something that's so interesting and compelling about it, how one thing that makes spoken word and rap even so compelling are the different pitches that they use to speak on. And I've learned this as a voiceover artist too, that when you're speaking a sentence, if you just speak the sentence this way, it's really boring. No one really pays attention. It's super monotone. But when you speak in all these different pitches, it keeps people interested. Shop today is way cooler than shop today. There's so much music in just speaking, just being a human, existence is music. Let's end on that.
Let's end on that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's cool. So what would you say is the theme of your week?
Wow. Theme of my week is giving yourself a break. Whether trying Go Easy Kid, being shown up by going with the flow with Boston, doing yoga with Xavier Rudd, even Labyrinth, it's sort of self-reaffirming.
Right.
So maybe that's it.
I like that.
Maybe that's it. Take it easy. Chill out.
Yeah. Just be yourself. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a lot today, but let's just really quickly, what would you say are your top 3 songs for the week?
Okay, so my beginning of the week song, I'm gonna go with "They Reminisce Over You."
Yeah.
from Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I think that's a good way to start the week. And then towards the end of the week, I want to hear, let's keep it easy. Let's go Loverboy from our Thai artist, Phum Viparit. And then let's bring up the vibe in the weekend with Cesare Cremonini, La Nuova Stella di Broadway.
I think last week you chose Italian for the weekend too. I love that.
I did. All right.
Yeah,
well, that's
Richie
2
loves an
Italian songs.
weekend.
All right. The Italians will be happy. Anyway, those are my 3. Kate, what are your 3 songs for the week?
For me, Broke by Sam Henshaw. Because oh my God, anybody who doesn't know Sam Henshaw, go listen to Sam Henshaw.
The first on your list, no less.
Yes.
Oh, bring yourself again.
Me Jaman Nella, if I'm saying that correctly. The Nella song would be my number 2 song. It's just, again, it's just such a vibe. And she's such a great singer. And, it's tough to decide on a third one. Just in terms of what I'm feeling this week, like the vibe that I'm feeling this week. I didn't talk about it, but I think my third one would be Aguas de Marzo. But that's Elis Regina and Antonio Carlos Jobim. 2 of the great bossa nova musicians. And I just want to say the reason I love that song so much is you can hear it when you listen to it. It's 2 human beings standing together with microphones, singing and laughing off of each other. And they make all these little jokes. Like, as far as I know, the lyrics are just about like a stick, a stone, a turn in the road, like just these little random things. And the thing that I love about bossa nova music is it's just so chill. Like the words just roll off the tongue and they're not trying too hard. They're not producing. They're just, speaking of spoken word, it feels very spoken. And that recording in particular is so heartwarming because you hear them laughing at the end. You hear them playing off of each other. They're not always perfectly on pitch. It's just so human, and it's just, you can't listen to it and not smile. So that's my third. That's my weekend song.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Vibes all around.
Vibes, but they're good vibes, you know? Sometimes they're really intense. Well, there were some intense vibes. Let's be honest.
That's all right. Life can be intense.
Yeah.
But if you are listening now, go to our Substack or Patreon so that you can actually listen to these songs. We have a radio podcast with no music. So
we're doing our best, guys. We're trying to find a way here.
That's right. Until we have a system of paying for rights and navigating all the legal stuff, you get to listen to us and then go download the actual playlist, which we share with you every week. And we will be posting on our Instagram, which is Entry Points Radio. So subscribe, share it with your friends, write us reviews. It definitely helps because this podcast is really about the cool artists that we want you to hear. There's a whole world of music that we think should be shared with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. No.
The life of a musician is not just making music. It's constantly trying to figure out ways to get music to be heard by people. So the more people help, the better.
That's right.
Anyway.
Thank you very much. But be in touch. Write us a letter. Let us know what music you liked and send us recommendations, thoughts. And we hope you enjoy listening to our amazing playlists.
Woo!
Woo! Bye.
Thanks for listening to Entry Points Radio. You can find the full playlist and connected links for this episode in the show notes. Subscribe for behind the scenes, playlist archives, and more at our Substack and Patreon. Your support makes our work possible. Follow us on Instagram at Entry Points Radio. If something in the episode opened a door for you, send it to a friend. That's the whole point. We'll be back next week with more music beyond the algorithm.